Hi, I'm Wendy Yellen, and today we're going to talk about why we hurt the ones we love. And actually, all month we're going to be talking about how to love better. I'm checking my notes. I want to make sure not to miss anything for you. That's the theme of the month. So, not only why we hurt the ones we love, but also what we can do about it. And I'm speaking from my own personal experience of having done terribly with this and doing much better now, and also with my clients. Before we keep going, though, I want to make sure that if you like this video and my other Art of Transformation videos, be sure to like this new video and subscribe to my channel, and that way you'll get notified when there are new experiential and out-of-the-box ideas about different areas of what it means to be human. And thank you to my subscribers. All right, let's go. We inadvertently hurt the ones we love when we're not connected to ourselves and when we're stressed. When we're stressed, then we start to get triggered much more easily by what the other person is doing. And we see them in a more negative light. We see them in a it's much more difficult to love them because we're constantly getting triggered by them. They do something, we have a reaction, then they do it again, and then we have a stronger reaction. And that's what I mean by an overheated response, is that we keep going into our story about what they're doing, which may in fact not be so much fun. But when we react to it a certain way, then we start a spiral, which just can get worse and worse and worse and worse. Now, it does take two to tango, and I'm going to talk about that later. But one of the things I want to really emphasize here is that it can start with just change. It can start with just one person. So you're the one that's listening to this video, so I'm talking to you. And we can play the blame. We can lay the blame and play the blame game, and it feels really good. It can feel in a certain way really good. And what I'm suggesting is there's another way that you can go into your relationship and relate to yourself and the other in a way which will bring you so much more joy and will change them, even if they never watch a transformational video in their life, if you want to do that. So if that's what you want, I'm talking to you. We expect the other, our lover, to be a certain way. And then when they aren't that way, we feel disappointed. So years and years and years ago, I've been with my husband, Michael, over 40 years now. And the beginning part was terrible and, good, but terrible also. And I used to talk to this friend of mine and he would say, look, Wendy, you're treating you want Michael to be a fountain, but he's a mailbox. And he was right. I wanted him to be something completely different than he was, even though, of course, I'd fallen in love with him. So, this is the craziness that we do. Now, that meant that I was often unhappy, and I was often directing it at him, which made him really unhappy. So whether or not it's called for or whether or not you can support what you're doing with all kinds of facts, and whether or not people say, yeah, he shouldn't be doing that or she shouldn't be doing that, whatever the situation, then notice what it's doing to you to be always after somebody or often after somebody, to be different than who they are, what it does to you and what it does to them. If you can pull back just a little bit and really watch what you're doing, I was stunned and probably ashamed. I certainly was. Now, you may not be in a relationship right now, so this will help you in terms of understanding your old relationship and also in thinking about how you're going to be in the next one, which hopefully, if that's what you want, you will be. The other insidious part of the mailbox fountain difficulty is that because I was always expecting him to be one way, every time he was really special, but it was not in my box of what I thought a man should be or a person should be in relationship to me, every single time that happened, I missed the good things that were happening. And in retrospect, I'm just really, that just blows me away because I was literally missing his kindness, his generosity, his really open, tender heart. All of that stuff, not only did I miss it, but I ran roughshod over it in trying to get him to be like I thought he should be. So notice, are you doing some of that? Yeah, again, it's important, you got to pull way back and just look. And in some of the other vlogs that we're going to do this month, I'm going to show you some really interesting ways to do that. But for now, I just want you to think about it. So one of the things that I missed that I noticed years later was that Michael was singing, just singing in the house to himself. And as I said other times, I don't know if he was always singing and I never heard it because I was so busy trying to change him, or if the way we were being, and in this case, I'm emphasizing my part because I'm the one that was interested in making it different, very interested. Maybe I'm certain that the way I was being towards him was stuffing that singing back in. Who would want to sing with the things that I was doing? Again, I understand I'm taking the quote unquote blame, but I'm the one interested in changing. So just hear that. Also, just because we say we want something from someone doesn't mean we're going to be happy when we get it. A lot of the reasons we want something from someone has to do with our past and our family of origin. Again, we're going to go into more experiential piece of that in other videos. But, for example, maybe you want somebody to be more in charge. And maybe you're tired of being so much in charge, just as one example. However, when someone else starts to become more in charge, then your role is more laid back. You're responding to somebody else's ideas of what's a good idea and a good way to do something. And all of your normal ways of controlling or setting the stage or leading or however you want to put it, those things suddenly are supposed to take a back seat, and we're not used to that. So we say we want it, but actually when we get it, then, oh, so somebody else has an idea here, not just me, as an example. So be careful what you wish for. Also, when we're internally criticizing someone else, and so many of my clients, pretty much all my clients who are in relationship have been in relationship for decades. And many of them, when they first come to see me, are not happy in their marriages at all. It's more like ships passing in the night. Maybe there's grown children, young adult children, and there's just so much wrong. They don't even want to work on it usually when they come to see me, but they talk about it. And one of the wonderful things is that out of the work we do on other areas of them, those relationships change so that they become often best friends, really best friends, and are just stunned by that. So when we're really looking at the negative and criticizing the other person, even this would be in a friendship too, but here I'm talking about love, then of course we're hurting ourselves. Maybe even the most, but certainly intensely hurting ourselves because of the way we're being negative, critical. It's not pretty when you're with somebody who's constantly or often negative or complaining about someone else, the person who's negative or complaining is really not doing well and hurting and not fun to watch. Their negativity is very debilitating to receive. Just listening as a friend, so you can imagine what it does to the other person. And I also think that I've seen in my own marriage that I was wearing away at Michael's dignity by the way I was being, which was well meant, but really misguided. So, as I alluded to in the beginning, yes, it does take two to tango in a relationship. But if one person has really beautiful rhythm, that person can lead the dance. When when I was thinking about making this video and talking to you, I remembered a time when I went to a dance back in college or graduate school, and this fellow who was an insanely good dancer just asked me to dance, and we danced for hours. And he was, I am mediocre, and he was so good that he brought out such a dancer in me, and I loved it. We never said a word. That's possible in a relationship, and I'm seeing it with myself and with my clients and theirs. It doesn't really need, just like in my story, it doesn't need talking about it. You just do it, in my opinion. So how do we start to move in another direction? Because we really are hurting the ones we love in this kind of situation. So it's easy for someone to tell you, be more loving. But it's really hard to do when, again, somebody's pounding on your triggers and you want to scream or run far away, or maybe worse. Once you become crystal clear about what you are doing, like expecting them to be someone they aren't, like missing all the good parts because you're so focused on the stuff that you want different. And if you have the willingness to be different and the generosity to be the first one to move, then you can begin to go in a better direction for both of you. So years ago, when I really made a decision to change this whole situation, I visited some friends of mine who clearly had what I was calling a house of love. And there was something about what I observed. They weren't talking to me about it. It was just so clear. That gave me the possibility that things could be different. It was beautiful what I was saying with them, and it's not exactly what I saw growing up. So with that in mind and my own desire for me to be different, whatever happened between me and Michael, I had to be different. I didn't like what I was doing. Are you liking how you're being when you really think about it? So instead of missing the good parts, instead of not being even able to enjoy the good parts because we're so focused on trying to change someone, there really, really are possibilities that are different from the ones you might be in right now. And it doesn't take all that much. It does, but in another way it doesn't, because you'll generally find that the other person responds to kindness, just like, not to compare people, your partner to puppies, but it's kind of like puppies. You are kind to the puppy, and the puppy loves you back. It's a lot like that. So if you're feeling that your relationship is just adequate and it's been going on for a long time and you're kind of disheartened about it, I hope you'll take some heart from this. And here's a suggestion, your actionable item. You've heard this before, but in this context, really try to do your best to catch your loved one doing something unexpectedly kind, generous, loving. Don't say anything, but notice how they look, how they feel. Notice if you're letting it in or if you're pushing it away. And then we're going to go way deep into this experientially in some ways I think you'll probably never have understood about yourself in very near future videos. See you then. You already know that there's so much more to life than what you're currently experiencing, or at least you hope so. And you also know that you didn't come here for a life half lived. There is much more for you. So let's start. Go to www.measiwanttobe.com. There's an application there. Fill it out and submit it. And then we'll meet by phone. During that time, I'll show you how your eidetic image is showing you, pinpointing exactly where the difficulties are arising from, and also, even better, your unique way out. We'll also go over what you're experiencing right now in your life, what you want, and how it might work for us to work together privately with Eidetics. And this is true no matter how much personal work you've done. There's absolutely no obligation. This is my gift to you. It's a gift of my time. www.measiwanttobe.com, and please hit subscribe before you leave. There is so much more to life than what you may currently be experiencing, and you don't have to do this alone. Hope to talk to you soon.